Hi everyone, this is Jennifer Myers, the Clearance and Field Placement Coordinator for the Education Program. And I wanted to go over some of the changes and updates on my end since we're not having a faculty meeting for the spring semester until later. So I made a quick presentation that I'm going to walk you through. Please just watch the video, and if you have any questions or concerns, let me know at your convenience. So the first thing we're going to discuss is the changes on D2L for students. We have some new ways out there to help your students be supported online if they have a field experience this semester or an upcoming semester that'll help alleviate some of the questions that they've had in previous semesters. We now have an education resource page on D2L. It's a module that can be found when you look under the courses listed by semester. It's actually under all, and it should populate right at the top of that all category. It has been shared to all education students. The only students that may possibly have missed is if they are in the general education major and taking education classes. And if you run into any students that this is their major and they aren't getting access to these resources, please let me know and we can add them to the shell. Basically, we added them in as best that we could, but we know there's a few out there that probably were missed. This is a video that shows how that resource can be used. You've already received that, but if you need it somewhere, I added it to the presentation today. One of the things that we found out we can do is, now that we have the education resource page and it's shared with our education students, you can actually create a widget within your own courses on D2L that students can click right into that shell. So instead of having to go and find it on their own homepage, we can just link them to that. So if you want to create a widget, what you can do is take this graphic and just screenshot it from here, and you can put it in your toolbar. You can see I have mine in my toolbar for my Education 111 course, and all you have to do is create that little widget and use this as your link. This links you right into that D2L module. You also can create another version of that. I know this isn't in the presentation right now, but this is a video created by Elizabeth Smith, and she made a tab with it under resources and also down here as a widget. So I wanted to share that because that's a great other way to add those resources in. Sorry, now I messed up the whole presentation. All right. So another widget that I have on my toolbar is a link to Complio. This just makes it easier for them to get into their account and check their clearance status. So if you'd like to add that, this is the graphic for Complio. You can again screenshot that, and then this is the link to the widget if you'd like to do that. All right, so moving on from D2L, our Field Experience Handbook is our next update. There are several things that we've updated for the mentor section, student section, and instructor section. So let's go over those and highlight them. First of all, you can always access the most current copy of the handbook on the either education or now the new student education resource pages on D2L. I always have them updated there. I know if you're concerned that you don't have the most recent version, you can always just add that resource page to your D2L shell, and that way students can go right to the resource page and always get the most updated copy. Otherwise, you can grab it on your own and keep updating. Honestly, I just updated it for this spring semester, and I don't anticipate having any other updates until next semester, so you should be good if you do want to put it into your shell. Just a few changes for the mentor teacher, and I do want you to know these because I'd like you to talk to the students about them. Mentor teachers should not be signing signature sheets until the end of their visit. So if they go in for 1 hour, at the end of that hour, teachers should sign. If they're in there for 2 hours, they should bring it to the teacher at the end of 2 hours and sign. Please remind your students of this. And also, we'll get to it later, but hours must be written in pen from now on because of some issues that we had last semester. Also, this area up here, the contact information, is supposed to be filled out by the student. If there's something they don't know, they can ask their mentor teacher, but that should be filled out on every form, and it's the mentor teacher's job to actually verify that the information is correct before they sign. This is our only contact with that agency. I know I have the official contacts, but this is what goes on their record, and if we ever needed to verify anything, this is what we need to show correctly. Some changes to the student area. Again, we want to talk to them that they must sign their hours here in ink. Teachers should only be signing their forms written in ink, and it's up to you as the instructor when you verify hours to make sure that they have been completed in ink, and reminding students it's their job to fill out that information. We've added in some forms. This was given to you a few times now, but it has been updated. These are the Google Forms for recording hours over the entire field placement for each student for their time at HACC. This is the chart that basically breaks down in the orange by course their hours, and this form is on the education resource page for them. It's a Google Docs. Please remind students that when they open the Google Doc for the first time, they should make their own copy because they cannot edit my copy. So they'll make their own copy and they'll complete that every semester. And this should be in their pre-professional portfolio under the field placement tab. And it should be updated after every field placement that they complete. So at the end of every semester, they should go in and update their hours. And again, this is for them. For our accreditation, we have to show that they've been in different places, different types of places with different ages of learners. And that's why for every course we have here at HACC, you're assigned a different location type and a different age of learner. And this chart basically proves that at the end of their time at HACC that they've completed that correctly. There's also a new form that Jennifer Wright created for us for confidentiality, and we're going to have students sign this in Education 110 and 111, although this semester, since we're launching it, we may catch a couple other classes of students. Once this is signed, they're going to put this in their optional documents of Complio, and I will keep record of that they are compliant in this area. So if you need a report at any point that has your class done their confidentiality policy, just let me know and I'll run a report for you. Okay, so there are a couple changes on Complio for students and instructors. The first one is we've added the confidentiality form under optional compliance documents. The second one is we're going to try to assign field placements through Complio. This is a feature they have that doesn't match our needs exactly, but I'm going to try to use it, and basically you'll then get a report of where your students are going, and they will get all their contact information. I'm not 100% sure it's going to be in use. Like I said, I'm going to try it, and we're not sure its capabilities are going to match our needs. If I get in and I find it doesn't match my needs, I'm not going to waste any more time on it. But look to possibly get a different kind of reporting this semester. Then for those of you teaching any of the upper level courses, some of you may have students that had a 2-year membership to Complio and it has expired. If they are still in the program and need to access Complio, Complio has done a prorated option for these students. They just need to contact them and they will give them a monthly, for the months of the spring semester extension, and it's very inexpensive. They've been fantastic to work with. So if you have any students that question that, you can just let them know, yes, there is an option for you to have a prorated version. Please excuse my dog. All right, so we have one major change that we'd like you to add to your syllabus. This is important because we ran into some issues this semester. Under the section on your syllabus that houses academic honesty policies, be sure to add this language. It should say, and it doesn't have to be exactly these words, but it should be very close. All field placement hours must be logged into your teacher signature sheet in pen. Misrepresentation of your hours will result in failing the course. We had some issues this past semester of students changing hours, writing them in pencil, not completing hours, saying they did. So we need to let them know at the start of the semester that if they misrepresent their hours at any point, they will fail the course. So that's a pretty serious offense and a serious consequence, and we want to make sure it's in our syllabus to protect us. All right, just another change is the TB test. There is a new form for students on the education resource page. Often they ask if they should take a form to their doctor. We do not require this on Complio, but for students that do want a form, if they ask you, you can let them know it's on the education resource page and also in their field experience handbook. How my communication with you this semester is going to be ongoing as usual. If you have not had a course with field placement hours in the past, this is the schedule that I will follow this semester. First and foremost, I will be giving you weekly compliance reports. I will start on Monday that classes begin, and I usually will do them either Sunday night or Monday morning weekly. This is what a page will look like. It is going to be shared in a PDF, so you just scroll down to find your own courses. It will have your name and the name of your course at the top. This is for Education 110 in Lancaster. It has your student's first name and their last name, and I do show this later on, but if a student is listed in white right now, they are not on Complio. If they're green, it means they're compliant on the system. If they're yellow, it means they're on Complio and have started the process but are not completely finished. And if you'd have any student in red, that means they've been flagged with a criminal record. In the notes section, I will list any information regarding your students. Specifically, if you have someone who does have a criminal record, I will make note of that for you so understand the process that will be happening for them. Other than that, I might list anything that's pertinent to your own class. The email and phone numbers are basically for me. And then as we start running reports, we will mark down the students that have updated their mandated reporter training, their HACC program standards, their NACI ethical code of conduct, the cell phone policy, it says photo release, it's confidentiality, it's all in there. And then that they have requested their field placement. So they have all been given a link to the form that they should be utilizing, and that is supposed to be done before the start of the semester. So anyone who has not done that form will be missing a check there. And then it'll be up to you to communicate with them. Each week when you receive the report, I want you to check the weekly roster. This is really important at the start of the semester, but you know that as the semester goes on, we have lots of changes as well. Update me right away if there's anyone who has been added to your course and anyone who has dropped the course. If a student is in white, it means they're not on Complio, or yellow, it means they're not compliant. Please remind those students that they're past the deadline and basically risk failing the course. We are not allowed to drop students for not doing this part of the field placement process, but I can't give them a field placement without completing those steps. We had students last semester that were becoming compliant and requesting their field placements in the last 2 weeks of class. Obviously, they did not get a placement. The way the placements work is I reach out to the school districts one time. So I reach out to Head Start in York County one time. I reach out to whatever school district it is one time, because they get bogged down with so many other field placements. The more that we bother them and don't have our act together, the less likely they are to give us placements in the future. So I try to really streamline the process. That's why I want everyone to get the field placement request form in at the start of the semester. So when I do my blast to the schools, I get my placements from them and we move on. It's nice and simple for them and for us. When students don't become compliant on time or they don't do their field placement request form, then I have to delay that blast to the schools, and that's unfair for the students that have done what they needed. So I am not waiting this semester. I've given every student the deadline of the first day of class to have those 2 jobs done, And at the end of the first week of classes, I am starting my blast to the schools. Students that do not have compliance or have not even started the process, or students that have not done their field placement request form, will not get a request. And then at that point, they will not get a field placement and they will fail the course. So that is something I really want you to communicate with students, that they have to have that done. I wanted it for the first day of class. I'm not reaching out to schools until basically it'll be Monday of the second week of class. So that is the timeline that we'll be following. And it's really important that you stress that with them. If they want to pass the class, they have to follow the rules. They need to become responsible. Sorry, end rant. If you need any additional reports run on your students, whether it be mandated reporter or just something specific like the confidentiality policy, I can run a specific report for you and put that data on your sheet when I share it. In the past, we've had a couple people that said it was very small to read the size of the font on the PDF. Most PDFs have a place where you can change. It's usually under view. I'm a Mac person though, but you can go up and you can change the percent you're viewing. So
It's 3 o'clock.
So you can change that percentage to a larger percentage. If anyone has a really big problem, please let me know. Also, for Complio, students will be doing the mandated reporter training and uploading their certificates. This is completed in Education 110 and 111. So I will run reports for those two courses for mandated reporter training. Now, where this became an issue last semester is we need the mandated reporter training done for any student that is going to be in a Head Start classroom at the start of the semester. So Education 110 students and anyone in Education 261 that is heading out into the classroom in a Head Start needs to have the mandated reporter training done immediately. So in the past, I don't think I've communicated that well. If you're teaching Education 110 or 261, make sure your students know they need to do that training basically the first week of class. I know that's not ideal. Many of them will have it and can upload it already. But we really need that. I would say by the end of week 2, I need to see that their mandated reporter training is there. So I can share that when I do the sharing. I collect feedback from our mentor teachers every semester, and I thought I'd share some of it with you because we have some reoccurring themes. We've had a lot of mentor teachers request to have our students again for the spring semester that were mentor teachers in the fall. And if they didn't want students in the spring, they wanted them again next fall. So we really do have a lot of repeat mentor teachers, and I think that speaks volumes of the quality of our program and that our students are doing a good job out there in the field. But here are some themes that I would love for you to share with your students. First of all, involvement. Mentor teachers want their students to get up and interact with the students when it's appropriate. They've all emphasized that you can learn so much more by speaking or working with the students than by sitting back and watching. So in most cases, that is appropriate for the assignments that we're giving them in class. So please emphasize with them to get involved. Distractions, though, are when they're involved with a student. We want to emphasize with them that make sure they're not loud and distracting other learners. But also make sure that if they're interacting with students, they're interacting with quality conversations that meet the topics being discussed in the classroom. We do sometimes have mentor teachers that share that the students are, actually a distraction when they're interacting because they're talking about, things that aren't appropriate and taking them away from the learning experience. So make sure that they're, being appropriate when they interact with students. We've had a couple cases of students not being respectful of their mentor teachers, coming in thinking that they know more than their mentor teachers. So basically, we want to reinforce to our students that you're not there to evaluate your mentor teacher or question what they do in the classroom. It's always fine to note if you would do something different. And sometimes we do see bad mentor teachers, and students can learn from them as well. But students should not be approaching their mentor teachers in any negative way. And remember that asking questions should be done in a respectful way, and that tone is very, very important, especially if they're communicating in written form. The tone of those emails and texts really can be misconstrued. But mentor teachers do want students to ask questions. They want them to come prepared with questions regarding their assignments. What if their learning task is to observe student relationships or students with disabilities. They need to have a conversation with their mentor teacher to make sure that they've gotten the most from that experience. And last but not least, this is tricky. I know our HAC population is diverse in the fact that they have families and jobs and lots of other commitments. But what we're finding is students are selecting times to go into the classroom that best meet their needs of their schedules, and sometimes are the worst possible times to be in class. I just spoke with a student this afternoon that wanted to be in from 8 to 8:30 every visit. Well, I said, you're not going to see anything if you're lucky enough to even get in a classroom that begins that early. If you do, you're going to see arrival and mealtime, breakfast or teeth brushing, whatever it is, every time you visit, and that's not going to give you a quality experience. So we want to make sure that, especially for those upper level courses, that students are possibly having to take time off work or go on a day that their work is not open. Really, I'm going to let you have that conversation with them. But we want these visits to be meaningful, and sometimes that's not what best meets our scheduling needs, but we have to change our schedule for a little bit and make this a priority. Also, for instructors of Education 210, many teachers have requested that it might be better if they stay for a whole day to do their 6 hours, or at least 2 3-hour visits. Anything shorter than that, they really felt that working with a special needs population or students with disabilities, they weren't getting a complete picture of what it's like to really be a teacher and work with students with disabilities, because those students are so different at different points in the day. So that was the recommendation for 210 if you want to communicate that with your students. Your students do schedule their own hours with their mentor teacher in Education 210, so that might be something you want to talk to them about. All right, and just a couple reminders as we start this new semester, we want to review these areas with students. First of all, when communicating with a mentor teacher, we need to really, especially with our HAC population, review what effective oral and written communication skills look like and sound like. You really need to do this before they make any initial contact with mentor teachers. We actually had a student lose her field placement because of her poor written communication to her mentor teacher, and it was very, very poor. And the administrator, the principal of the school, actually said that he would not take her into his school based on her poor grammar, spelling, and lack of punctuation. She didn't get a field placement. So we want to make sure that we are reviewing what it looks like to leave a phone message for a teacher or write an email message that is appropriate and respectful and uses proper capitalization, punctuation, spelling, and grammar. Also, mentor teachers are sharing their classrooms with us. So students need to be respectful and remember that they are a guest. And we have students that very, very early on dictate, well, this is when I'm coming. This is the way I need to do it. And really, we are at the mercy of our schools and our teachers, and so we need to be respectful of their schedules, their timing, whatever it is. And last, but certainly not least, if students are scheduled to be in a classroom, they should call, text, or email their mentor if at any point they will not be there. And they need to really do that before they've missed their scheduled time. If they miss their scheduled time and contact the teacher later, the teacher doesn't, they may have prepared something for them, or they may be waiting for them to come. We need to always remind students to contact their mentors before missing your scheduled time instead of after. Just a few other reminders that students should be adhering to all dress code policies that their school has, and additionally wearing the HAC education polo at all visits. I did have feedback from teachers that not all of our students were wearing that polo to their classrooms. And at the conclusion of the field placement hours, it would be wonderful if students could follow up with a written thank you note or an email to their mentor teacher. And if they have had contact with the school administrator, also a note or email to the administrator. This just looks good for our program, and also reminds them, if you're going out and doing an interview or spending time in a classroom, the best way to get a job and create a good first impression or a good relationship is to follow up with these thank you notes. So it's just a good practice we want to get them started with. So if you have any questions or concerns this semester, let me know. There's my contact information. If you didn't know, I'm on the York campus in Leader Building, 150E. And, I hope everyone has a great semester. Thanks for listening. I know it was a bit long, but hopefully it helps you get off on the right foot with these clearances and field placements.